What is up? In this one, we will actually get to do some flying, and I'm going to help run through the controls for the Su-25 because that is what most people will start flying in, or at least to try out DCS in is going to be the Su-25. We won't load out with any weapons. We'll just go over the basics of controls. So we go to adjust controls, make sure you're on the Su-25. We'll go to axes. You'll want to bind your pitch, your roll. You might need to. Oh, you can right click to tune combo axis. My stick is pretty centered when it comes to axis, so I don't need to set a curve, but you can set a dead zone to where uh it won't input until you actually hit right there or right there. You can also set a saturation or saturation X and Y, but mainly you'll probably want to set a curve and a slight dead zone depending on what kind of controls you have, to where you have a centered stick, and then your control will smoothly go up and down that curve. For me, I don't use a curve. Set that. Set. I don't use a curve for that. Even for my roll, I don't use a curve. I have VKB Gladiator. It centers really well. It doesn't need any sort of dead zone on that. Then you also need a rudder. You can set these on keyboard as well. If you're just trying out in keyboard, you can set it. Oh, do you not set this? Oh yeah, these are axes. Never mind. So if you wanted to say do, yeah, here you go. So your aircraft bank left, right, up, down, you would use these controls as your default. You also want to maybe set a different control for your trim, with your nose down, nose up, left and right trim. You don't have to worry about rudder trim. That's not a real big one. We'll go back to axes. Pitch, roll, your rudder, and then as well as thrust. I have a dual throttle, so you'll either do thrust left and thrust right, or you'll just do one thrust if you only have one axis for your throttle. I would also highly recommend you bind a zoom view where you can set a. I'm gonna actually set a curve on this because my zoom view's been kind of wonky lately. But the zoom view, I have it on a knob on my throttle, and this will, with the head tracking video that I made, will help you zoom in and out, look at different panels as well. Now we'll put now one thing I think with, yeah, so my throttle axes are inverted because of how my throttle inputs. So that would be idle cutoff, and that would be full throttle, and I have a D10 at mill power. But you will need to maybe invert some of your controls. I'm pretty sure that my rudders, no, my rudders are not inverted. Okay. Uh there's also, you could do the target display slew. I have that set to another a key, and I have this tuned to with a high saturation and a curvature to make it move just a little bit smoother with my thumbstick. But that's for weapons. We'll get into that in another episode. As your head tracking, if you set it up properly in the last video, if you have any comments, please put it on that or join the Discord. I'd be happy to help you out with the head tracking, but your head tracking will automatically set into the head tracker category, and then your camera, your mouse is always there, as well as uh, um, cursor. I just, yeah. If you want, you can do the clickable mouse clickable cockpit on and off. I put it on my mouse 3 button, which is middle mouse, to turn the mouse cursor off for clicking cockpit stuff. You don't need it for the Su-25, considering it is a Flaming Cliff aircraft. I think that's all for throttle. You want your rudders, pitch, roll, and you can also do some joysticks twist. So if your joystick twist, I highly recommend using that for the rudder. If not, you can set it to a keyboard command in your flight controls. A lot of this is still default. Now we'll get to autopilot. Your autopilot is your A button, as well as a disengage, a re-engage. But we'll go. So you can set these as you like. We'll go to communications. Now I have my communications. I will reset this because I like a different button for my communications. I'll set it to, well, that's going to be, I'll replace the score window. So my communications menu will be, it's the button right next to the enter key, because I use the back space and the slash key for other things. So you definitely want your communications menu to pop up in your top right corner. Your countermeasures, looks like that button is wonky. We'll set our countermeasures to that button on the throttle. Now, it all depends. If you don't have enough buttons on your throttle or stick, or maybe you're using an Xbox controller, you're gonna want to just put it on your keyboard. It has a, like, delete will be your countermeasure. There's Q and E, uh, as well as you can change up these as you like. Now, score window I will set to my tilde key. You can set your kneeboard. I like to redo kneeboard, so kneeboard on and off will be K instead of glancing at the keyboard, glancing at it, and then J will be my glance, and then your bracket keys are your next and previous page. Kneeboard is very, very helpful. Labels, you can leave that as is. I have navigation modes, should be, yeah, so I have those bound on my stick. Default, they'll be 1, 6. They might be a little different. I think I may have reset these, but you definitely want to have your navigation mode, your gun sight reticle, and your air to ground mode. I'm going to actually set this one on my Gladiator, where I have all that set. Nice. And then you can do your next waypoint airfield or target. It's very helpful with these Flaming Cliff modules. Radio, uh, I completely took out radios in this. I need to reset that. I'll have a tutorial for SRS as well in this series. If sensors, you definitely want a radar zoom. Is it this one? Yeah. So I have a rotary switch that when I push forward, it'll zoom in on the radar, and then I pull back on that rotary switch and it zooms out. There's also target lock, unlock target. I think I have a, yeah, target lock on the throttle as well, depending on that gun sight reticle or gun pod elevation target size. You can change these as you wish, but you really only need, out of the sensors, you need your radar display, zoom in and out, target lock, and target unlock. Down into systems, you'll want air brake. You can either, I have a toggle, so I can turn it off and I can turn it on, or you can have just air brake and you can set that as default on keyboard as B, and that'll just, it's a toggle, so if you press it, it'll turn on, you press it again, it'll turn off. But I have an on off on mine. You'll want a canopy close, and default is left control C. dragging chute, I think I have that set as... Yep, I have that set on my Gladiator. Default is P. Your eject, which is lift control E 3 times. There is no... I'm drawing a blank here. Anyway, you'll want your electrical power, which is your right shift L. Your engine starts, which will be right alt home. Your engine stop is right alt end. Right engine, or that was left engine start, right alt home. Your right engine start is right control home. Then you'll have your landing flaps. You'll have your flaps up and down and up. Typically, I just have I have a 3-way switch for this, so you really only need to bind the landing flaps position and your flaps up. I don't know if there's an actual middle position for that. I just have it bound in case I'm in landing, then I can just fully put them up. Your landing gear is definitely a big one. You can do a toggle landing gear where it's just one button, and that default is G. Landing gear up, landing gear down, a weapons jettison button, if you so do choose, and a wheel brake. Wheel brake is important. The Su-25 though, you got to be careful with the wheel brakes because they will break. Weapons, we'll touch on this just briefly. I have a 2-stage trigger, so my button 2 is my cannon, and then I have a weapons change somewhere. Yep, there's my weapons change. I have a weapons fire. Those are the only 3 that you really need out of that, as far as I'm concerned with. I don't fly the Su-25 that much, but this will get you started and flying pretty quick. All right, now on to starting the jet up. We will do the electrical power. Let it warm up. Some basics. This is your standby indicator. We're gonna close the canopy with left control C because that Su-25 is loud. Oh, excuse me. You have your ADI, and they're gonna go. This is your fuel gauge, if I'm not mistaken. This is an RWR. None of these buttons work. You can't click on any of them. This is a Flaming Cliffs. It's the unfortunate reality of the freeware on DCS. This is your flaps right here. This is your landing gear. This should be your airspeed in knots. This should be your altitude in hundreds of feet. That's this is for ILS or TACAN. I know this is going to be your most important one as the ADI. Your engine, so we'll start right engine. And your RPM gauge will go up. And this engine gauge will start going up as well. And we'll wait for that engine to start up. Now, once it stabilizes at just under 400, is that hundreds? I think it's 400, 350, 300 RPMs. We'll start the left engine. And we'll wait for that to do the same thing.
Прошел ППМ-1 на 1500.
You'll get a master caution there most of the time. Alright, and then it'll settle down and we're at stable RPMs. Now we are good to taxi to the runway. So the runway should be right on over there. So very important things: stick, throttle. Don't put too much throttle into it. Do I have a wheel brake? No. It's just, yeah. It takes a good bit to get the aircraft moving here. Now, your nose wheel steering is always engaged with this aircraft, so that's one thing to be careful about. Taxi off over to the runway. Gonna have to taxi a little bit, but we're going to cut over to the runway. Taxiing should be not too much. We won't cut. So if you'll see that this aircraft, if you go left and right, it does want to almost top heavy, a little top heavy. You believe this is, oh, yeah, this is the runway. So some unconventional taxiing is what we're going to do here. Just come right on down runway. And we'll cross over to... Is this a runway or a taxiway? It's a runway. It's a backup runway, because the main runway is that one. I've not actually taken off from this airport, I don't think. But you want your flaps up. Actually, this is where you want possibly that three-way switch, as I was talking about with your flaps. I have a three-way. So that's landing flaps, middle flaps, and then flaps up. So we'll do middle flaps in the middle position on this part right here. I think you can also press M and you can get your mirrors. You get 2 side mirrors, which is really nice. That's that RWR going off. Taxiing is very important. You don't want to get too fast, and you want to keep a good speed. You want to not put too much into the throttle, but have enough throttle to get where you're going, because if you go and taxi somewhere, you might run off the taxiway before you even get to the runway. Was my head tracking goofing off? We're at hotel. Should be runway 207. Yeah, 07. Alright, so this is very important to line up properly on the runway with the center line.
271 в воздухе.
Now, with the Sue...
22.
Okay, so we're clear for takeoff. So what we're going to want to do is hold our wheel brakes, go up to mill power, make sure you're on center line, and let her roll.
476.
Go to full power, stay with the center line, use your rudder as you need. Then once we hit about 200, we will lift off. Or we'll start pulling back on the stick. We'll come up real nice and easy. Landing gear. We'll wait for those to come up. And then we'll put our flaps up. And we'll come out of the afterburner. And there you go. There's your first takeoff. And that is your basic controls. They, as far as those controls, it's pretty basic with every aircraft that is in DCS, but your stick controls and throttle. Each aircraft has a different set of controls, so it can be different depending on what aircraft you choose to start out with. Now we'll come down on the downwind and we'll come in for a landing. So you definitely need to slow down for this. We're at I think 370. I don't remember if that's in knots or if it's in. Oh, we got a little bit of rain. It's nice. So landing speed for this is about 220. So we'll come and we'll slow down. This is where you pull your speed brake out. We're downwind, so we'll just come in off the brake for landing. Speed brake out. We'll put flaps down one position.
273. Прошел ППМ-2 на 1800.
And we will loop over to the airfield as we're slowing down. Now we'll put our landing flaps down. We'll put our landing gear down. Put a little bit of power into it so you're not too slow. Give about 250 ish. You don't want to go slower than 200. Actually, I might screw this up. You definitely don't want to be slower than 220. 220 is about your lowest. So we're at 230, 240. Come right on over to the runway. Line yourself up. Speed up. Keep the speed at 240. Point toward the horizon. Line back up here. I always land short for some reason. Good example of what not to do. That was an okay landing. Then we'll tap the speed brakes. You don't want to pull back on the stick fully to get aero braking. Keep your speed brake out. Tap your brakes because you don't want to burn your wheels out. They are very fragile in these Russian aircraft. Which I may have broken already. Did I break it? I did break my front wheel. That's lovely. Don't go too hard on the brakes because now we are. Yeah, Su-25 it's decently easy to fly. Landing the Russian aircraft, the landing gear are pretty fragile versus like the Navy Russian aircraft for the Flaming Cliffs are a lot more durable, honestly. The Su-25 is just a little weaker on the landing gear than most of the others. There you go. I hope that has helped you maybe take off for the first time. We'll put our speed brake. Always make sure you pull your speed brake back in once you land. Alright, yeah, so I hope that helped you on your first takeoff and your first landing. We will shut our electrical power off right here. And I hope that you have a great day. Stay tuned next time for more aircraft tutorials and basic flight training. Have a good one.
404, copy 32, not 2232.
404, read back correct. 99, take overhead, Mother Angel 7. 402, squawk 7142.
402, squawk 7142.
404, squawk 7143.